Two daughters walked into a police station with trembling hands, holding a secret that had haunted their family for years. They were about to lead officers to a horrifying discovery: their mother's hidden body. What they revealed next would shock the town, leave investigators stunned, and unravel a story of secrets, lies, and betrayal. Stay until the end and subscribe, because this story is more shocking than you think. The calm before the storm. To neighbors, the family seemed normal. A modest home, quiet streets, polite children, and a mother who cared for her daughters. Nothing about their lives hinted at what was about to surface. But inside, a dark web of secrets had been building for years. No one could have imagined that the seemingly ordinary household was hiding a secret so terrible it would send shockwaves through the community and across the nation. The moment everything changed. It was a chilly Tuesday morning when the eldest daughter, trembling and pale, walked into the local police station. She was clutching a folder, her hands shaking, her eyes wide with fear. Behind her, her younger sister followed, silent, gripping her mother's old jewelry box. Detectives immediately sensed the urgency. The girls were terrified, but determined. Something had happened, something they couldn't hide any longer. The confession that shattered the town. As officers guided them into an interview room, the eldest daughter whispered words that would haunt the police for years to come. "We have to tell you, it's our mom. She's dead." The statement was almost surreal. Mothers didn't die in ordinary neighborhoods, and daughters didn't carry the burden of hiding that truth. But she wasn't exaggerating. She handed over directions, precise, chilling, and eerily calm, to the exact location of her mother's body. A police search that revealed horror. Detectives drove through the familiar streets, past houses they had walked hundreds of times, until they reached an abandoned shed at the edge of a nearby lot. With heavy boots crunching over gravel, they opened the door and discovered the mother's lifeless body, hidden beneath years of dust and debris. For the officers, it was more than a crime scene. It was a puzzle, a mystery that had been buried both physically and emotionally for years. Questions that needed answers. How had this happened? Why hadn't anyone reported her missing sooner? And, most importantly, why had her own children carried this secret for so long? Detectives immediately began interviewing neighbors, friends, and family. But the more they asked, the more questions surfaced. Something didn't add up. The daughter's behavior, the timing, the secrecy. It all suggested a web of lies, betrayal, and dark family secrets. The dark secrets of a hidden life. As the investigation unfolded, detectives learned that the mother had been living under constant stress. Financial struggles, marital conflict, and perhaps threats no one knew about created a volatile environment. Neighbors admitted they had noticed subtle signs. The mother rarely socialized, her daughters seemed withdrawn, and on some nights, there were sounds of arguments behind closed doors. But no one expected what they found. The investigation deepens. The police soon realized this was not a simple missing person case. It involved years of secrecy, potentially multiple people involved, a motive that was hidden in plain sight. The daughters became both witnesses and central figures. Their statements, combined with forensic evidence, began painting a picture of a crime that no one outside the family could have imagined. Clues that were overlooked. As detectives scoured the home, they discovered receipts showing unusual purchases, hidden messages in journals, a small locked safe containing documents that hinted at financial disputes. Every clue added weight to the theory that this was planned, not accidental. The pieces of the puzzle, financial, emotional, and relational, began to align. And the detectives started to understand that this case would shock not only the town but the nation. The emotional toll on the daughters. The daughters were at the center of the investigation. Every question, every flash of the camera, every new piece of evidence was a reminder of the trauma they had carried silently. For them, this wasn't just a crime. It was their life unraveling in real time. Police provided counselors, but even with support, the weight of revealing a hidden murder is almost impossible to measure. Why the community was in shock. Once news broke, the story spread quickly. Social media erupted with speculation. Neighbors, friends, and distant relatives struggled to understand how a mother could disappear and how her daughters could live with the secret for so long. People asked, could they have done more? Was anyone else involved? Why was this hidden for so long? The case became a national conversation about family secrets, abuse, and the darkness that can hide behind ordinary facades. The police thought they had the story, a missing mother finally found. But when they dug deeper, they discovered a family secret darker than anyone could imagine. Clues pointed to betrayal, greed, and lies hidden for years. And the daughters? They held answers no one expected. Stay until the end. This chapter will shock you. The investigation begins. Detectives arrived at the crime scene fully prepared for a routine examination. But from the moment they entered the abandoned shed, something felt wrong. The mother's body had been hidden carefully, yet evidence suggested she had been alive longer than initially believed. Small details, an overturned chair, fresh dust marks, and disturbed soil hinted at struggle. The detectives quickly realized this case wasn't just about discovery. It was about uncovering a story that had been buried for years. The daughters under the spotlight. Police immediately began separate interviews with the daughters. The eldest daughter, quiet but firm, insisted that she and her sister had never meant for this to happen. But as she spoke, detectives noticed inconsistencies. Her younger sister, meanwhile, alternated between silence and nervous glances at her sibling. Every word they said carried weight. Investigators knew they had to untangle the truth from fear, guilt, and long-buried secrets. A family web of lies. Neighbors began sharing what they knew about the family. Some described late-night arguments. Others mentioned the mother's isolation. Detectives learned that financial disputes had escalated in recent months. Bills unpaid, debts mounting, and a mysterious cash flow that neither neighbor nor relative could explain. It quickly became clear the mother's death might not have been an accident. There were possible motives right inside the home. Forensic evidence speaks. While interviews progressed, forensic teams worked tirelessly at both the shed and the family home. Fibers and hair samples suggested someone else had been present at the shed recently. Fingerprint analysis showed traces belonging to a third party. Financial records hinted at a large withdrawal just days before the mother's disappearance. Each new piece of evidence intensified suspicion. Someone wanted the mother gone, and it wasn't immediately obvious who. A hidden diary and a shocking discovery. The daughters revealed something they had kept hidden. A small diary belonging to their mother. Inside were entries describing fear, threats from someone close, and feelings of being trapped. Detectives pored over the pages, realizing the murder may have been premeditated. Lines like, "I don't know who to trust. I feel like danger is closer than anyone sees," painted a terrifying picture of her final days. Interviewing extended family. As investigators dug deeper, extended family members were interviewed. Some had noticed unusual behavior from the daughters. Others admitted that family disputes had become heated and public. One relative hinted at a secret someone didn't want revealed, raising more questions than answers. The case was evolving into a tangled web of family betrayal. The timeline of her last days. Using phone records, CCTV, and witness statements, detectives began reconstructing the mother's last days. A sudden disappearance from her usual grocery store route. Unexplained meetings at a neighbor's house. A pattern of calls suggesting fear or coercion. Piece by piece, a timeline emerged, and it pointed toward someone she knew intimately. The daughter's role, witness or suspect. As investigators analyzed inconsistencies, they faced a difficult question. Were the daughters innocent witnesses who bravely led police to their mother? Or were they aware of what was happening? Possibly complicit? Detectives realized the line between victim and suspect was blurred, and every word the daughters spoke had to be scrutinized. Red flags in communication. Text messages and emails recovered from the family home revealed troubling patterns. Late-night messages with cryptic instructions. Conversations deleted and rewritten. A plan forming that might have involved more than one person. The investigation now hinted at a coordinated effort behind the murder, but identifying all participants would require patience and precision. Financial motives begin to appear. The mother had been handling a modest estate and had a life insurance policy. As detectives examined banking and property records, potential motives surfaced. The daughters may have known about insurance payouts. Other family members had disputed claims and access. There were recent unusual withdrawals that raised suspicion. Money, it seemed, could have been a significant factor in why the murder happened and why it remained hidden. A breakthrough in evidence. 1 week into the investigation, a key breakthrough occurred. Investigators recovered hidden surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera. The footage showed suspicious movement near the shed at the time the mother was last alive. This video, combined with forensic and financial evidence, began to reveal the crime's orchestrators and the chilling planning behind it. The police thought they were uncovering a family tragedy, but the evidence told a darker story. Hidden diaries, secret messages, and mysterious visitors pointed to betrayal from the people the mother trusted most. By the end of this chapter, you'll see why truth can be far more shocking than fiction, and why the daughter's revelations may only be the beginning. Subscribe now so you don't miss a single twist. The forensic breakthrough. Investigators began their day by examining the shed where the mother was found. Small details quickly stood out. Soil traces indicated she was moved from another location. Fibers on her clothing matched an unusual type of fabric found only inside the family home. Fingerprints on surrounding objects suggested the involvement of more than one person. Each clue made the murder increasingly premeditated and calculated, not accidental or random. The diaries speak. The mother's diary was a window into her fear. Entries revealed arguments with family members over money and control, threatening messages from someone she trusted, a sense of being watched and trapped. One entry was especially chilling. "I don't know who to trust anymore. If something happens to me, it will be the people closest to me." This line would haunt investigators. It pointed to betrayal within the family itself. Interviewing extended family and friends. Detectives re-interviewed extended relatives and close friends. Patterns began to emerge. Some relatives had expressed jealousy over inheritances. Neighbors reported unusual visitors at odd hours. A few friends noticed the mother seemed fearful of her own children at times, a detail no one fully understood until now. These statements painted a picture of a household under tension, a home where fear and secrecy coexisted with love and loyalty. The role of technology. Investigators discovered deleted text messages and emails on family devices. Messages hinted at plans to hide the mother. Some corresponded with suspicious third parties. Certain communications were intentionally encrypted or deleted, indicating foresight and premeditation. Technology became the key to unlocking who had the motive and opportunity. The daughters' confessions. With mounting evidence, the daughters were called for further questioning. They revealed details they had previously withheld, fearing punishment or scandal. They admitted seeing strange activity near the shed, but claimed they didn't know the full extent. One daughter disclosed a cryptic warning from their mother days before her death, hinting she suspected someone in the family might harm her. The investigators realized the daughters were more witnesses than accomplices, but their silence had allowed the crime to remain hidden. Financial motives come to light. Investigators pieced together bank statements, insurance policies, and estate documents. The mother had a significant life insurance policy. Recent withdrawals and transfers raised questions about who stood to gain. A neighbor noted unexplained purchases by a family member in the weeks leading up to the mother's disappearance. It became clear, money, control, and fear all intersected in this tragic crime. The timeline of the murder. By analyzing security footage from the surrounding area, phone records, witness testimonies, investigators reconstructed the mother's last hours. She left the house for a routine errand but never returned. She was intercepted by someone she trusted enough to approach. She was murdered elsewhere, then moved to the shed to conceal the crime. The meticulous planning shocked everyone. This was not a crime of passion but a calculated act. Breaking the case open. A breakthrough came when DNA evidence from the shed matched a previously unidentified family member, someone not immediately suspected. This person had access to both the mother and the shed. Their fingerprints were found on multiple objects near the body. Evidence suggested they had been manipulating the daughter's actions, intentionally keeping them in the dark. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, and the perpetrator's identity would shock viewers. Community reaction. News of the revelations began leaking. Neighbors, friends, and social media audiences were stunned. How could someone commit such a crime within their own family? How did the daughters not know the full extent? And how long could such a secret remain hidden? The public fascination with family betrayal and hidden motives drove massive engagement, perfect for YouTube retention. The suspect confronted. With mounting evidence, police finally confronted the main suspect. They denied involvement initially. Faced with overwhelming proof, diaries, fingerprints, financial records, they eventually confessed to orchestrating the murder. Their motive, control of finances, and a deep-seated grudge. The confession tied together all the previously disconnected threads. Fear, silence, and deceit within the family. The daughters' role revisited. The daughters, though not perpetrators, had unintentionally enabled the crime to remain hidden by withholding certain information. Their fear and loyalty to family masked the perpetrator's actions. Their eventual courage to lead police to the shed solved the case. This act not only revealed the crime but also helped bring justice. Just when investigators thought they had solved the case, a hidden secret surfaced. One so shocking it changed everything they thought they knew about this murder. A final betrayal, a hidden motive, and a twist that no one saw coming. Watch closely. This chapter reveals the truth the killer never wanted anyone to discover. Subscribe now to follow the full story. The investigation reopens. After identifying the main suspect and uncovering the financial and emotional motives, detectives thought they had the story. But forensic experts discovered something unusual in the shed. Tiny traces of another person's DNA. Objects strategically placed to mislead investigators. A handwritten note partially hidden under debris. The evidence suggested the killer wasn't acting alone, or at least had tried to manipulate the daughters further. A second suspect emerges. Police revisited interviews and discovered a family friend who had access to the house. This person had previously gone unnoticed in the investigation. They had a history of influence over the daughters. Security footage showed them near the shed on multiple occasions. Detectives realized the story was far more complex than a simple family crime. Uncovering the final secret. Hidden in the mother's personal files was a recorded message she had left for her daughters. A just-in-case recording she made weeks before her death. In it, she named a person she feared the most, detailing threats and warning her daughters to be careful. The daughters had not known about this recording. Police discovered it by cross-referencing her old devices and cloud backups. The recording confirmed that the main suspect had planned the murder in advance, but it also revealed a third party who helped cover it up. The role of technology. The investigation leaned heavily on technology. Phone records revealed late-night coordination between the main suspect and the third party. Deleted texts were recovered using forensic software. Metadata from emails and documents proved that the cover-up was pre-planned. This was no impulsive crime. It was meticulously orchestrated and executed. The daughters finally speak out. The daughters were interviewed again, this time after being reassured of protection and anonymity. They revealed small, seemingly insignificant details from years prior. One daughter admitted noticing unusual behavior from a family friend, which she had ignored. Another revealed she had tried to warn her mother in secret, but the mother dismissed it. These revelations connected the dots that detectives had been missing, helping to tie the entire conspiracy together. A town in shock. Once the story began leaking publicly, the community reacted with disbelief. People struggled to understand how family loyalty, fear, and manipulation could mask such a crime. Social media and news outlets exploded with speculation. Comment sections were filled with theories, debates, and outrage. This is exactly the kind of engagement that keeps viewers watching true crime videos to the end. Legal consequences begin. With the full conspiracy uncovered, law enforcement prepared charges. The main suspect faced first-degree murder and conspiracy. The third party was charged with accessory after the fact and obstruction of justice. The daughters, though not criminally charged, were now key witnesses in the prosecution. The legal proceedings became a high-profile case, with prosecutors emphasizing both the brutality of the crime and the cunning of the cover-up. The community demands justice. Neighbors and relatives testified in court, shedding light on years of deception, accounts of financial disputes and threats, testimonies about suspicious behavior before the murder, emotional appeals highlighting the mother's vulnerability and fear. The courtroom drama became another chapter in the story, showing how hidden crimes can ripple through an entire community. The twist that no one saw coming. Just when it seemed the trial would wrap up, investigators revealed a final twist. The mother had left a hidden letter with a trusted friend detailing financial irregularities. This letter implicated a distant relative who had tried to profit from her death. Suddenly, a seemingly closed case reopened yet again, revealing how greed and manipulation can stretch across generations. This final twist ensured that the story remained shocking, unpredictable, and unforgettable. The media frenzy. News outlets quickly picked up the story. Headlines focused on family betrayal, murder, and hidden secrets. Viewers engaged in heated debates online, asking, could this have been prevented? Or, who else might be involved? Social media amplified the story, drawing national attention. The story's viral potential skyrocketed because of the combination of emotion, shock, and unanswered questions. The emotional fallout for the daughters. The daughters, now free to speak without fear of legal consequences, shared their guilt at having unknowingly contributed to the concealment, the trauma of living with the secret for so long, their relief that justice was finally moving forward. Their perspective humanized the story, adding depth and empathy, crucial for viewers to connect emotionally and stay engaged. After months of investigation, shocking confessions, and hidden secrets, the case finally reaches its dramatic conclusion. But the final revelation is more disturbing than anyone expected, showing that betrayal, greed, and secrecy can hide in the most ordinary families. Watch until the very end. This is the moment justice is finally served. The trial begins. With the main suspect and the third party in custody, the courtroom became the stage for one of the most shocking family crime trials in recent history. The prosecution laid out the murder and premeditation, financial motives and inheritance disputes, the role of the third party in covering up the crime. Every piece of evidence collected, diaries, recordings, financial records, phone data, was presented to prove that this was a deliberate, orchestrated crime. Opening statements and shockwaves. From the very beginning, the trial drew national attention. News crews camped outside the courthouse. Social media exploded with discussion. True crime communities debated motives and potential sentences. The courtroom was tense, and each testimony added more layers of betrayal and manipulation. Daughters take the stand. The daughters, who had been witnesses throughout the investigation, were called to testify. They recounted what they saw, heard, and experienced. They admitted fear and hesitation that kept them from reporting sooner. Their testimony humanized the crime, showing how secrecy and family loyalty can trap even the innocent. Viewers and the jury could clearly see the weight of emotional trauma carried by the daughters. Revealing the final hidden letter. The prosecution introduced the mother's hidden letter, written weeks before her death. It detailed financial irregularities and named the distant relative attempting to profit from her death. It served as a roadmap for investigators to identify the full scope of the conspiracy. This revelation was a game-changer. Suddenly, what seemed like a closed case opened a wider network of hidden motives, confirming that the crime was layered and deeply personal. Witnesses and evidence sealed the case. Other witnesses corroborated the daughters' accounts. Neighbors confirmed unusual behavior and suspicious visitors. Forensic experts explained DNA, fingerprint, and soil evidence. Financial auditors detailed money trails linking suspects to the motive. Every witness added credibility, leaving the defense with very little room to maneuver. The defense's last attempt. The defense tried to argue the murder was accidental or spontaneous. The daughter's testimony was unreliable. The third party acted independently. But with overwhelming evidence, digital, physical, and testimonial, the court saw through these claims. The verdict. After weeks of tense deliberation, the main suspect was found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy. The third party was found guilty as an accessory after the fact and obstruction of justice. Sentences reflected the premeditated and manipulative nature of the crime. Justice was finally served. A moment of relief for the daughters and the community. Emotional reactions. The courtroom reactions were profound. The daughters broke down in tears, relieved that the nightmare was over. Relatives and neighbors expressed both shock and vindication. Investigators reflected on how family loyalty and secrecy can mask the darkest crimes. The case left an indelible mark on everyone involved, showing that even ordinary-looking families can hide unimaginable darkness. Lessons from a tragic crime. This story is more than a shocking crime. It's a lesson about the danger of secrets within families, how fear and loyalty can blind even the innocent, the importance of paying attention to small clues and inconsistencies, the power of investigative persistence. It's a reminder that justice can prevail, even in the darkest situations, but only if the truth is uncovered. Aftermath and healing. After the trial, the daughters received counseling and support to help heal emotional trauma. The community slowly rebuilt trust, realizing the warning signs they had missed. Law enforcement used lessons from the case to improve family crime investigations. The mother's story, though tragic, sparked awareness about hidden family crimes and warning signs. Why this story resonates. It combines family betrayal, greed, and murder, a combination viewers cannot ignore. It shows the human side of true crime: fear, loyalty, and courage. It ends with justice served, providing closure while maintaining suspense until the very end. This is why audiences stay glued and why your channel will retain viewers and gain subscribers. The story may be over, but there are countless other hidden crimes, secrets, and shocking cases waiting to be uncovered. If you thought this family crime was shocking, subscribe and turn on notifications. We reveal the hidden stories behind America's most disturbing true crimes every week. Don't miss the next shocking case.